These women lie in blankets, warm and narrow if you can find them. Send them a phalanx of drip, dry cow for. It's all right because all I can do is fail. Zoo phraseology, Frampton round, drink your severance plenty. All the time files of puncture lace the air with Frankie. Singular flash breeding, crack, flick, ankle slip, bang on the airport road near Eastwoodbury Lane. Sediment shift is awkward, but jumper wool isn't. Fail me do head into the fence and stuck. Can I grit and slip? Slide it in with hair and gumption. Files of. If you see Greco, there's a bouncing idea why the ghost at a roundabout slide and be horizontal or not. Slide if you're 40 into a realise. Your shoes take. All my songs, homeboy or Degar. If your family is away, comfort zone them with spherical breadfruit and gallons of plum pride. I drift and nestle round about the third junction of the light change, then short skirt the iron. Half a filled spoon taken away and charge with ebullient lukewarm condensed milk. A sandwich or whatever feels Neptune and Prometheus in spite of rain dog hat-trick teeth. Tickle number 8 on the back with knowing looks of, oh, she'll break somebody's heart one day. Achievement or what? Underneath the filtering sand sedimentary lie the figures that control, and they shine out through our eyes onto the unsuspecting. They become ourselves, or at least particles of ourself. They are as we think, not as they are. And from this contradiction arises disturbance and conflict, an eternal waltz of the unaware. Boom ba ba, boom ba ba. She swirls around him, clean and circle-kind lady old and wrinkled teapot. Why is an archway there if not for her to appear brown and tight? Tight as feces, tight as rain, tight as the vestibule to the womb. I'll sink into her socks and walk with her, stride over and across greenery and skint until I reach the village of Wretch, where I can't find a room. So we disappear into a catalogue shop laden with gifts of the neuter. It's all we can do to pick out the snails carefully with those little silver forks they give you. We both don't bother too much and just smash their fragile little shells with a handy mallet, concrete and dusty from the roadside. If the travelling communication buzz had the impact it is supposed to have, we would be physically presented with God's arrows, gold and jagged, cracking the air with philanthropic ease. There would always be some clever so-and-so who would leap and catch each one between his chalked palms. He would carefully place them in an album beneath filmy paper, and he would leave them on the side, aware they were there, but not daring to look at them in case they decayed and lost, never to be seen again. All he had a use for women was as a woman bun. Nice tea, dear. I need to be master, and to be master, I need you to be mistress, and that means only one thing in this house, and that is volume and rules. And now that she's dead and gone and buried and filled with cracks and disturbances in her bones, he doesn't really think any differently. Anti-Macassar man, dribbling over his liver and onions. Oink, oink. Let him out of his pen. Whatever you think of processes of decay and denial, you can but only marvel at the resilience of the human eye. Squid-like and plastic, non-conformist beluga. You can even see them walking around in Tadoussac. The audacity of a car park drop-off, and for the vaginal to be there at all. Those hulks of Blubber Mountain, and then the thin pencil driving force, range from word to word. I can't see why there are 3s on coaches and not just 2s and 4s. If you drop the back down, the luggage comes off the same. It's just a matter of queuing. Why a Labrador needs to jump is probably based upon the sheen of its coat. Shen. Jingshen. Where does she lie in this? The patriarch, nay matriarch energy is lax. Or is it? Why sexual? Why young? There's a glimpse of an apron at every step, and the alcohol flows and flows as if it has never needed not to. But there must come a moment when the gap between the picture, the sound, and the taste smell is breached. It must be the feel, not the towel feel or the hot smart from the edge of a kettle, but the feel, moving in with your mind so close that you can feel the smooth coarseness of a stone or the brusque nature of a marshmallow. French in canals, the water flows and lies deep and clear, but it has a technicolor appeal that is only surface. But only surface is all right, really, because many men only walk on the surface, and after all, that is what connects us to this earth, the surface. But what lies beneath it other than the meanderings of nonsense? That does not apply to what we understand, not to what we could understand. It's a bit of a tree hugger. If you put your finger into the core, then how long will it keep going in? 1 centimetre, or at least? If you read 4 pages with a smell, it's got to be more there than 4 with outside. It only goes to say whatever is blue is not new. If the wood is sodden with 5 million years of ocean travel, then no doubt it will have a firm set of limbs. Mind you, liable to go to seed if you're not careful. If you can't trust somebody else, does that mean you can't trust yourself? And why is trust so close to trust? Confinement in something tight and bounding. I think of sugar more often than perhaps I should. Not the taste, but its perspective, its granularity, its need to be so crystalline. I think the telephone answering machine could do with looking at sugar, and then perhaps it could break its links with the past or whatever it saw the pasty as. The fact that there was a need for the requirement to be there is unbelievable, but then again, that means checked flags, and we all know that leads us everywhere. Why settle for the regularity of the cone or cube or perpendicular when nature does not have straight lines? Nature does not have straight lines, you patronising turd. You believe academia can protect you here, you fledgling? Your self-conscious jibes have no juice here, sonny. Take them away back to your yoghurt factory and lay them to rest, and lay back with the other turds that inhabit you and what? I'll never believe the things that I've seen, because I'll never believe the things that I've seen. There is nothing else. The fragility of a blouse and the concrete pile seem to sleep in the same bed with the same black currant juice on the television set. Sparks of confusion and science as it slides its tropical fingers down and around the racist noose of compatibility with a creed, a time, a desire, a fake god, a philanderer, a sleeper, a purposeful mistruth. Express the difference in coffee, and that's a bean that's caused a few problems in its time. Why is the neck in need of a warmth and of tight-fitting armour with an undergarment of blatant cotton? You can see it on a teddy bear. You can feel it on a foal. You can dive into the desire for and to produce strangulation. But my strangulation will be unique. It will smell of coal and furnace fresh daffodils. I will never leave it to chance. I will just pick and pull at random examples until all the meat is away and the bone is bare and unreal. We drink in 4 parallel sculls, sliding away, thin and pushing, a pump back, and then into a schooner. The shh sound in the classroom, with non-asthmatic whiteboards and a touch of pantomime for the dads, is theatre in the round, and we all cannot abide bullies. Remember the literature at school? Fence them in, line them up, and duck the buggers. In our midst, they are not needed other than to show us. Lock the lepers away, because infection is worse than seeing God or any other 2p framed by the tattoo parlour. Everybody must stand and answer. Answer about everything. Give them a chance to explain why they're here, or there, or not. Stand up and face it, or it will face you, because what would you do if you hadn't a shoe? I would lie on my side in a bed number 5, and I'd laugh and I'd drink, because that feeling of numbness and disorientation from what is an incumbent issue today but not tomorrow, or yet 3 currant buns in a baker's sack. I would fly if I could manage it, financially I mean. No problems with the laundry room around the back or fire escape. And then that's just memories, and Semedo has an option on that. Leave the glow, and leave the metal, and leave the angular, and leave the desire, but don't leave the now. Even if it is Buddhistic, or Taoistic, or Jerusalemistic, or Mormonistic, or spikes on a barbecue, wild and fermenting. I'll cook the turds fine this season, because I am a cooker, and that's that. But the inherent tiredness that drinks me and urinates is incessant and black in its turmoil of non-disturbance. We think there's probably a need to sit in the arbour for that one. And if we compete in the unconscious seeing stakes, then God forbid your moustache and my ill-fitting jumper. But you have the words at your ankles. Each is not chosen, but it arises. Proud parents at the nativity. And that will always be. Photographs aside, plus internet biographies. The world of the grabber is upon us, and filaments are free, and the light is free to link through the star idea that you have or don't have. If I put you all together, I would see damp leg hair, and it told me to believe, so I will. And I want to, because that place of haven is smoky and dry and not mine, but I still want to believe, so I will. And I cannot accept the half as the negate, so I will not leave it and blink the other way. I have an image of you as a philanderer, but not as the toothpick you used to be. I will mock the smoked nature of your character as if it is a facade. I try all I can to keep an overall perception, but the creeping rust can't help me, can it? I listen to eternal moans from the central bank at the centre of the earth, and I wouldn't credit that type of annihilation even if I'd invented it. Next stop, Tuesday, and the flight of the fish. A symbol of the slithery and the terse-lipped sycophant, but the taste has relief from the sodden flat of flesh. If I could understand the essence of the shine of the thigh and the greeting hole, then I wouldn't sit in my armchair and watch grandstand. Triumphant male horns of plenty disappear into the appearance of death, whatever that is. I pile on and on through the relentless myriads of mays and corners. If the smell of the sea is oblique, then the lie of the land is in scripture and round. I would drink to the walls if when you drank to anyone it could be a gas of this, but more often than not it's a bind or a bindon on the ned of the cock glass. If the room had the possibility of regret, then Lafrauda in a cloak would be that. I felt her as a nurse, and soft and fresh like me, but I had to allow the other dirt to lie and greet me because the snooker had a grip upon my eyes. I like the bend and the achievement and the belonging and the part and the location in the play. I drifted from me in a cold, and the friend said, "What did you expect?" "I don't really expect anything," Lothario could be heard to mutter, "but a piece of driftwood has as much purpose as the next. In fact, more if you look at it in the way of the wanderer. He earns a pittance, considering his talents. He is able to forge friendships both above and below deck. I wouldn't expect them to understand, but I'm sure armoured vehicles do exist beyond our thought patterns. They seldom appear in mine, but when they do, they have a hint of the farcical about them. Wiry fingers around a rubber steering wheel, desperate for a result. It must be the machismo, or at least the embers of it. It's surely the time for a flip, a time for her to re-emerge from the shadows and show herself. She would probably be in an archway eating pink biscuits, and there would be something about an egg that would not crack, hovering around in the background just out of reach of perception. The unbreakable egg has an essence of death about it, or at least unfulfilled life. She is that life, and shouldn't just be seen as being able to lie on a half-inflated airbed, wanting to be pumped up to feel the movement away from the hard stone floor. The elemental Genesis fish, arcing above the ocean's surface, witnessing the birth of the earth. No confinement, and freedom from the treacle and the oppression that we squash on ourselves. She was there at the beginning, and she can help guide us there again. This time to a bus stop or a street corner where it started to turn before. It's not a matter of return and try again. It's a type of flick switch with direction translucent and flaky. The movement is invariably down to go. The current physical appearance she takes on is one of beauty and elfin pinnace, a grace without, not sex or dark eyebrows, but ether and floats. She would lie on the couch and associate like a good 'un, but I wouldn't hold her responsible for anything other than her defiance of betrayal. A guide to where hangs on me like a shawl of doubt, and yogurt sometimes does the same with its ability to promote catarrh. She will move upwards as a pre-resurrection babe, with me by the hair or the hand. She has a sparkler in the other, producing a backward C-shape with an acute upright across the night sky. Why always the night is of interest to the nocturnal folk. But Andrew did say that night was just the day without light. A fundamental misobservation. He had the need for the kung fu beating that revolted and attracted. Violence and its like ride on her right ankle a flutter and risque, but only in France and Torpedo. I wouldn't believe that they hold much credence for the revival of water, and the Amen solemn is where she lives. In the water, and that is the way forward, to go back to the water. Stories from the seabed with the selfish shellfish, an archetype, but water will not allow us to breathe. We need to develop gills, and reptiles revolt us. So the paradox of the amphibian is amazing. The ocean bed is where she lives then, and the route is clear. That must be the place where the journey starts. Amongst the herring and the carp, salt and fresh, one leads to the other and back again. And at school woman, noun, plural, women. 1. A paradox. 2. A collection of body parts designed for male consumption. 3. An opponent onto whom a man can place his female element and then argue with her. 4. A malevolent spirit playing deep inside the male soul who needs to be befriended to work as his guide. 5. An object to be collected, revered, and idealized. 6. The ignored or truncated element that is causing world leaders to blindly spiral the planet towards its end. 7. A guide to hidden internal treasures. 8. Part of a joyful union that creates the whole. 9. Mankind's saviour. 10. Destructive evil. 11. An indefinable force which causes dis-ease within a man. 12. A trap waiting to happen. 13. The maternal aspect within a man that must be isolated, integrated, and then released. 14. A goddess out of male reach. 15. An idea that the male experiences as he thinks, not as she is. 16. Complete peace as the circle completes.